you don't have to go too far into the details. They cover things that are, it's really an amazing thing. They got caught in the biggest political scandal in the history of our country. They were spying on their opponent's campaign. Not only spying, they were making up fake dossiers. You have the dirty dossier. They were making up the dirty, it was all made up. It was all fiction. It turned out to be fiction. And then they were using that in the FISA courts, this revered court. Well, it's not so revered anymore, because when you look at what they did and how they played it, and they hurt a lot of people. General Flynn is still being hurt, and he's being hurt very badly. He's a wonderful person. I spoke to General Milley about General Flynn 2 weeks ago. I said, what do you think of General Flynn? He said, he's a great soldier, sir, and he's a wonderful, wonderful human being. He's been destroyed. He's been destroyed. No, I think that this, without knowing anything about what Durham is going to release, the Durham report, we'll call it, or maybe it's going to be more than a report. Maybe it's going to be much more than a report. I don't know. Maybe it's a report, or maybe it's much more than that. But when I look at the things that everybody in this room knows just from reading about it from yourselves back and forth, I think it's a disgrace to our country. And I think if people don't pay a very, very substantial price, it'll happen again. And this should never, ever happen to another president. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts, and they tell us a whole lot about what's happening up and down the West Coast with these fires and the possible link to a domestic terror campaign. We're going to talk about what that means, and we're going to look at the way that Q has told us to investigate the connections between the Hussein shadow government and Germany. So there is a lot that we're going to go into in this episode that you guys are going to want to stick around to hear, plus a whole bunch of news the fake news won't cover. So stick around and check it out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. You guys know I like to say thanks to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here, click that, and hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more, and you want to let the algorithms and YouTube know that this content is what you want to see pop up when you go to YouTube, and not the crazy nonsense that they try to fill our feeds with all the time to kind of get us off subject. So with that, I also want to remind you to stick around at the end. We do a segment, God's Grace is Greater, and today we're looking at a verse out of the book of James talking about our will and his will. And it's a powerful verse that talks about how we should live our lives, and it's how I try to live my life, and that's why I want to share it with you. It's about having a different outlook on the way we approach things, and I really want to share that message with you at the end, so stick around for that. As always, though, we start here on the Q boards. 4643 is where we left off. We're picking up at 4644. We're going to cover a bunch of different topics that Q highlights for us here, you know, connected to the fires that are going up and down the East Coast, where, you know, I'm sitting here in California right now, and the sky is orange. It is a very ominous and creepy thing. Like, the sun's not even out, but it's like everything's yellow-ish around me. I don't know, and it may be connected to domestic terror, as Q is insinuating, and we're going to look at that. Plus, we're going to look at the shadow presidency of Hussein and how this was all a part of the setup for the coup. We're going to look at all the new setups that are coming down the pipeline ahead of the election, and how this all connects back to Germany, of all things. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. We're going to unpack it all. But before we do that, though, quick reminder, this limited time offer where I got you guys this deal with Touchstone Essentials for this pure body product, which is a zeolite detoxifier. And look, I'll just lay it out real simple. I'm out here in California. The air is almost unbreathable at times, and I've had issues that have put me in the hospital where I had $10,000 bill. Now, this product has changed my life. It's a game changer, and I'm just sharing products that I believe in, that I use, that I think you'll enjoy. I don't just put stuff out there that I don't use and that I don't believe in. So this is something you should check out. Now, when you get all these heavy metals and things in your system, it can cause all kinds of problems, and they can come from anything: the food you eat, the air you breathe, the water you drink, anything. It can come into your body, but you have to have a way to get those out, and this seems to be the way it works. For me, it's just incredible. It's changed my whole life since I started using it. But what you do is you come here, you can get a bottle for $5 by clicking the link in the description, then selecting the $5 bottle deal. You have to sign up for a monthly subscription, but you're not really on the hook for it. The monthly subscription does give you 20% off, but if you guys sign up for it and you want just the $5 bottle and you want to pay shipping and handling and get that and try it out, you can do that, and then you can write them and say, hey, take me off the auto ship, and they're not going to charge you for that next month for the $60, but I'll tell you right now, I think a lot of you, once you try this product, are going to want to get it. And for me, it's like, it's economical and it makes sense to, what would I rather do? Pay all that money to end up in the emergency room, or from ending up in the emergency room? Or would I rather, pay a little bit now for a product that's going to save me and keep me healthy and keep me feeling good? So it's something you got to figure out between yourself. But I just encourage you guys to check it out. The deal is 500 bottles. It's limited time. It's going to end soon. So if you guys want to get it, go check it out. If not, that's totally fine. But I just want to share it with you. So that's where we're going to leave that. Now, we're going to get into the latest Q post. And again, like I said, we're starting at Q post 4644. And what do we have here? Well, of course, we have this that Q's pointing us to, right? This is a comment from Paul J. Romero Jr., who's running for U.S. Senate in Oregon, that's commenting on this post here, right? Talking about all these fires that have broken out across Oregon. Now, people were noticing recently that these fires seem to a lot of the time be breaking out right up and down the I-5 corridor, but it's becoming quite apparent that there is a massive wave of fires being set, it seems, because these fires just don't set themselves, and for all the people saying, oh, it's power lines and it's the heat, it's like, well, that could account for something. But as we talked about statistically in the show yesterday, we talked about the statistics of the wildfires out in California and how it's so much higher than it was last year. And it just, none of this seems to make sense or be right. But look at these pictures. It's totally red here out in Oregon. And I can tell you right here, I'm in California, and the sky is like yellow right now with all the smoke and everything. And the air is almost unbreathable. Not that it's really good even when there isn't fires, but it's even worse now. You can't even see the sun outside. And this is really serious. But what Q's pointing us to is this comment where it says, Oregon is on fire. Pallet company in Oregon City confirmed Antifa arsonist on camera. Douglas County Sheriff has 6 Antifa arsonists in custody. Many fires in Oregon. Obviously, there are more to track down and arrest. Governor Kate Brown built this. Yeah, so it seems one of the new strategies from Antifa is just burn everything down, possibly, if all of these arrests are true and everything's panning out the way that it's being described here by Paul Romero. But there's other evidence to show that this is being coordinated and in an effort. And Q in the next link he gives us here points us to this, where you have Trooper Ryan Burke, right, who is the official Washington State Patrol District Public Information Officer for Pierce and Thurston counties, coming out here and saying, joint team effort, WSP, Fife PD, and Puyallup PD just arrested a 36-year-old Puyallup resident. He was caught in the median on SR 167 Meridian setting a fire. He is currently on his way to jail. Great job, everybody. And yeah, here's the actual story. If you want to look at this guy, BLM activist, who just was live streaming his own arrest, it seems. Because if you watch it, I watched some of the live stream. So this guy's like standing in the road. He's like, yeah, I just called the police, and I just was driving down the road and I just saw this fire. And then the officers start questioning him on this live stream. And they're like, so what are you doing out here? Why are you standing in the middle of the road? And he's like, why are you out driving in the highway? Because none of it made sense, like where he was and what he was doing. And it turns out he was trying to make some story up, it seems, about how he lost a camera and he was searching for the camera, and none of it made sense. And then it ends with him basically being arrested by the police after they're like, your story doesn't make sense, and we think you started this fire. So yeah, that seems to be what we're up against. Q says highly coordinated, funded domestic terrorism, feds involved, U.S. rights, classified surveillance, Democrat-controlled areas, media blackout, election gaming. Q. Well, I mean, what's it all about, right? You cause the chaos, you cause the disasters. How does this hurt people? It hurts people because it can affect their whole livelihoods. It could affect their ability to go out and vote. Some of these wildfires can end up burning down entire neighborhoods, or burning down the polling stations, or all these things. Or just keeping police busy and firefighters away from other fires that have, come maybe naturally during this dry season, where there are some fires that do happen naturally. But the point of I think what Q is saying here is that the feds have become involved because it's obvious, and when they're monitoring this domestic terror, these domestic terror groups, that there's a coordinated effort here, according to Q at least, to continue this domestic terror campaign across statewide. Because it's not enough to go burn down cities. Now they have to burn down the whole state, it seems. And that's evil. And we have to really call this out for what it is and stand up against this. So I just thought I'd start there, obviously, with Q's latest post. Now we're going to get into the next one here. And this one's talking more about Obama's shadow presidency. And we've talked about this before, but all of this needs to be covered even closer now. Because what happens, as Q says, if 44, Hussein, is actively running a shadow command control shadow presidency operation against the current duly elected president, President Trump? Well, what if? What happens if? I don't know. I mean, it seems that they're committing treason. It seems like President Trump's laid it out in specific detail that these people have committed treason against him. They've launched a coup illegally, and now they've been uncovered in it. And it seems as though they've been doing this since day one. And we've talked about this before, but let's go over it even further. What former mid-senior administration officials would need to be involved? What current mid-senior administration officials would need to be involved? What key positions of power would be critical to the operation? How do you finance the operation? So these questions are very important, right? The former mid-senior administration officials are either the Obama acolytes, his henchmen, if you will, who have sown the seeds of division and chaos across this country by going on the fake news and lying and just misrepresenting the truth and just completely fabricating evidence and pulling it out of nowhere, as you see with all these hit pieces against President Trump lately. The current mid-senior administration officials that may be involved, people like Lieutenant, or formerly like Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, but then the others, the holdovers, the people who have been sleepers, who have been activated right ahead of the election to undermine President Trump and his agenda. We've seen this time and time again, and that's not to say that there aren't any left. I'm sure there are many people in there, and they still have to be rooted out, right? The key positions of power that would be critical would be the administration position or administration positions that deal with the operations on a day-to-day basis, where you have the leaking. And President Trump's done a good job at kind of quelling that and suppressing the leaks. But at the same time, this is a very well-regulated, well-financed operation that's been active for quite some time. As we look back to this article Q wants to tell us to look back at from 2017, where it talked about Trump debuts in Europe as Obama returns to stir nostalgia for the old days. Yeah, he was just there for nostalgia, to go out on Lake Como with George Clooney and do some weird stuff. Who knows? But I think about this and I kind of like, well, what does this mean, right? Well, it means that Obama was following Trump around, President Trump, and he was basically telling all the leaders, hey, we're going to steal this election, whether we do it in the next 3 years through this coup and all this illegal treason operations we've been running, or we're going to steal it when we steal the election in 2020. Because we know that's what all this mail-in voting's about. That's what this whole C-19 thing's about. That's what the whole, put you under house arrest, make you wear a mask, make you subservient to them thing is about. It's what the whole, everything. It's all been a coordinated effort to undermine President Trump and to finish the coup that they started and to cover up for the crimes that they committed. Then the other article that Q wants us to look at is Obama to meet world leaders in India and China weeks after Trump's visit. Well, why is he meeting with world leaders when he's not a world leader anymore? Oh, that's right, because he still thinks he's in control of his shadow government, which has been actively undermining and creating subterfuge inside of President Trump's administration for the last who knows how many years. And then this PolitiFact article talking about John Kerry in Paris, but didn't meet with the Iranians. Well, that didn't age well, because now we know that it seems he did meet with the Iranians several times, and he's been advising them, according to new articles, on how to counter President Trump's administration. Can you imagine that? A U.S. politician actively abetting a foreign adversary in how to circumvent the administration's policies. And I don't even know. It's treason. Beyond treason. But then Q says former FBI mid-senior officials terminated today. We look at Strzok, we look at McCabe, we look at Comey, all those guys that got kicked out. DOJ officials that have been terminated. Well, the list goes even further if you want to get into those guys. The Pentagon, remember when President Trump and they cleaned out the Pentagon, a lot of top brass were kicked out of there. Yeah, the military-industrial complex, national security, You're talking about people like Dan Coates getting removed and others who were in charge of key positions in the security of our country. State Department mid-senior officials, well, that list goes on and on. That's all connected to Hussein and Clinton and the rest. Executive Office of the President, Office of the Vice President. I mean, you can go down. There's a laundry list of people that have been kicked out of all of these offices, including the Director of National Intelligence Office, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, Homeland Security, Treasury, U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia, Assistant U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia, U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York, Inspector General, Intel Communication, State Department Inspector General, Special Representative for Ukraine Negotiations, Ambassador to Ukraine, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Classified 1 through 99 Defense, Classified 1 through 99 Intel. Importance of controlled MSM. Propaganda, what you see is not true. What we say is true, not what you see, right? Don't believe your lying eyes, because what did Obama do? He legalized propaganda, and then he started basically implanting these former intelligence agents inside of the news organizations who are still loyal to Obama, who just get up and lie and report complete fabrications of truth and deceive the American people. It's really a nefarious plot that is so broad and all-encompassing that it's almost unbelievable, unless you've been following this as long as we have here. The importance of controlling the narrative. Well, you see what the importance is there, because they look at people as sheep, and they look at sheep to be, pushed in whatever direction they want. They've deployed all assets. They have nothing to lose. They've committed treason. They've committed sedition. They've committed conspiracy to do all types of crimes. They're engaged in this information warfare now, and it's an irregular warfare. As he said, infiltration, not invasion. It's an insurgency. These people are involved in a clear and present danger to the United States of America. It's an insurrection against the President of the United States. The shadow presidency of Hussein, prevention of power returning to the people, power control, prevention of accountability, prevention of transparency, war, a critical moment in time, Q. And that's what all this stuff was about. The coup, the hoaxes, the setups. It was all so they could get the information and they could delete things. They could wipe phones. I mean, we're going to talk about this in the next post where Q talks about, look at this Twitter post. This is from Sean Davis talking about newly released DOJ records show that multiple top members of Mueller's investigation team claimed to have, quote unquote, accidentally wiped. What, you mean like with a cloth? That's Hillary Clinton's famous quote. At least 15 phones used during the anti-Trump investigation after the DOJ, OIG, Office of Inspector General, asked for the devices to be handed over. Imagine that. Imagine a world where government officials using government-issued phones are accidentally wiping them. Just like Hillary Clinton may have probably accidentally bleach-bitted her servers and deleted her 33,000 emails. I mean, these people honestly believe that they're untouchable, that they're unaccountable, that they are above the law. Because if I did that, or you did that, if we were, subpoenaed, or we had government, stuff in our phones, and we just like deleted everything, you don't think the FBI would throw the book at us and throw us in jail for who knows how long? But these people do it with impunity because they think they are protected. They're in a club, and like George Carlin said, you and I, we ain't in it, right? But President Trump has been the first person to stand up and say, I'm going to dismantle your club, and I'm going to bring the power back to the American people. And that's where the difference is. But 15 phones. I mean, that's unbelievable. Unless you understand how corrupt and treasonous these people are and what they've done in the run-up to this election. Over the last 4 years of President Trump's entire administration, completely sabotaging him and doing acts of subterfuge and abetting an insurrection against him. It's treasonous. And what's the punishment for treason, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, you can go look it up, Law Cornell, just type in treason and you'll see what it is, but it ain't going to be good for these people. Was the special counsel Mueller brought on to provide cover for illegal 44 spy out plus 4 wall POTUS in and non-attack political box, right? What Q's saying here is basically what we've known before. The whole Mueller investigation, the special counsel, was a blockade, right? So they could protect the evidence that proved that they committed treason in doing this spy campaign on their rivals, their political rivals. But it also boxed President Trump in because as the president-in-chief, they would say, oh, he's attacking his political enemies. Look, he's attacking his political enemies. If these people went to jail, or if he just intervened and said, look, I'm taking all the evidence and we're going to go prosecute, because that's what they would argue. And they have half the country brainwashed off their propaganda, so they could start, major problems across this nation. That's why I keep telling people it's national security. I listen to other people, all these people out there who are like doubters and detractors and saying Q's fake and everything's fake because nothing's happening. It's like, you understand that if certain things happened, these people, you've seen what they've done to Portland. You've seen what they've done in major cities across the United States by activating their psychotic sociopath criminal thugs to go out and commit acts of violence in their name. Could you imagine if we throw these people in jail, what they're going to do? And I know that's not a good way but you have to kind of play the 4D chess here, right? And that's what President Trump's doing, because we have to save this nation ultimately. It's not about one man. It's not just about President Trump. And even he says that all the time. It's about saving this nation, because these people sold us out. They sold us out in a way, and they leveraged the country in a way to where if they were ever caught, they had it set up so that they could basically pull the plug and destroy everything. And we're trying to undo that here. We're playing this chess game, trying to undo it bit by bit, but it just can't come that quickly. And honestly, I don't have all the answers. I just know that I've been covering this from day one, and I know what these people did. I know how they've set us up, and they've set us up in a very dangerous way. And that's really the scariest part. But it says seek and destroy, lose incriminating evidence. Of course, that's what they did. They never thought she was going to lose. Sloppy, nothing digital has ever really lost. Q. So of course, I know that we have all this information. It's all been backed up. But again, when you introduce this kind of information, they're gonna say everything. They're the ones who were pushing the deep fake things for a while. Now they're gonna push like, oh, it was all created. There is no hard evidence, and it's all just a fabrication. Because if this wasn't true, right, that they were destroying evidence and everything, which it may or may not be, but let's hypothetically say it was true that they destroyed all this evidence and that we have all of it backed up. Well, their next line of defense is going to be, oh, well, he's just making this up to attack his political enemies again before an election. So their biggest fear is President Trump staying in power, and the MAGA movement, what we've done so far and how we've created this prosperity in America. They're afraid of that because they're globalists and they sold us out to the highest bidders, and now their puppet masters globally are basically putting the pressure on them. So it's, look, I don't have all the answers again, but it says the illegal spy campaign by 44 Hussein upstream collection went far beyond that of 45's transition team. 44 Brennan lead plus foreign assist, matters of national security Q. Now I've talked about this on the show here before, right? Hussein's administration was involved in spying on a level that nobody would ever be able to even fathom, right? We're talking about access to databases and everything, the whole 9 yards. And they were using it, collecting massive amounts of data so they could basically blackmail and leverage anyone they want. They could do insider trading in the stock market. They basically could do whatever they want. And these people use that to their advantage for 8 years, and then even further back for decades, right? Because it's all the same secret society clubs that they're all in, right? So, yeah. Here's an anon saying, Q, you always seem to post exactly when I'm most down. Hive mind, thank you. God bless. Peace. And Q says, find peace, solace through prayer. Amen. There are good people standing behind you. Have faith in humanity. Have faith in yourself. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. God bless Q. So, look, nothing can stop what is coming, but we have to be the ones who are coming, right? We have to be the ones who continue to press these people, press these issues, do the research, point it out to our politicians and our elected officials, point it out to the fake news liars, expose their criminality, expose the big tech censors, expose this entire criminal cabal that is actively working to destroy this nation. And we have to do it first and foremost by looking to God and using prayer, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that we are meant to relent or let this just go. We have to keep pressing, and pressing forward is what we shall do. The next post here, Q gives us this link to this New York Times article from 2014, where they actually confirmed through this inquiry that the CIA affirmed that it spied on Senate. So this is how they took control of our government, right? They went, they spied on the Senate, just like, the same spy operations they used to compromise global, international leaders. they've done that to our own Congress, using things that were these massive domestic spy operations that were completely illegal and completely like on the black budget, black ops, you know, in this secret wing of the CIA and all these other organizations. And then they shared that information with, you know, with whoever they needed to. They sold it to the highest bidder so that it could be used to blackmail and leverage, because a lot of these people in Congress, I hate to say it, they aren't good people and they've done bad things. And, you know, it is what it is, right? I don't know that any of that's true or not, but it seems as though a lot of people resigned from Congress when President Trump took over on both Republican and Democrat side. And I wonder why, right? Maybe because President Trump wasn't going to play ball. But Q says, worth remembering, infiltration and placement under 44 Q. So that's how they took power, right? And the next one here, Q tells us to look at this old post, I guess talking about in 1933, Hitler appointed Hermann Goering, the Minister of the Interior. His first orders were to defund and eliminate police departments so that they would not interfere with the brown shirts, whose mission was to riot, burn, beat up, and kill citizens in an effort to sway elections. Q says the truth is right in front of you. Past playbook used today. Knowledge is power. Q. Yeah, that's why they're defunding the police. And a lot of people are, you know, have come in the comments and said, you don't understand how it works. You know, the anti-fascists were really against Hitler, and then his brown shirts were with them. It's like, look, Q in the next post points it out very clearly, right? Gives us these two links, these two different articles. One giving us the history behind the Gestapo and how it was born, right? This is really a telling statement here where it says, having compromised the uniform division, Goering next turned his attention to plainclothes police. On April 26, 1933, a decree was issued creating the secret police office, and it which quickly became known as the GPA. But this abbreviation was far too similar to GPU, abbreviation of the Soviet Union. Thus, the name was changed to Secret State Police, right? The Staatspolizei. Polizei. It says the actual term Gestapo was used to create, or was supposedly created by a Berlin postal official who wanted a name that would fit. But if you read through this, it kind of tells about the history, and that it ends up saying that, look, what they were doing was, here's the one that I want to share. It says 1942, the Gestapo, and this is what a Joe Biden presidency would look like. I think we would devolve this quickly if this is the tactics they're willing to use now before they have power, right? With Antifa and the rest. Listen to this. In 1942, the Gestapo took things a step further via Hitler's night and fog decree. Suspected anti-Nazis would now just vanish without a trace into the night, into the misty night, never to be seen again. The desired effect, as stated by Himmler, was to, quote, leave the family and population uncertain as to the fate of the offender, unquote. Yeah, that's what they have in store for us, right? In my opinion, that's what we could look forward to if these people get control. If we don't, I mean, because I'll vote for, look, I'll even look at Democrats if they're not involved in this criminal conspiracy, if they're honest people who bring good ideas, because I know there's a lot of Democrats out there who are not evil, who aren't involved in all this. And I don't like to paint with a broad brush. So the point is that these corrupt criminals who launched this coup, if they're willing to do this stuff, what do you think they're going to do when they get back in power? And again, we have this Britannica write-up about the Gestapo, which you can read through. I'll leave a link to it. And it kind of goes through kind of the same things. But I think what Q's pointing out is the difference here, saying fact checkers installed misleading misinformation, deliberate intent to deceive, anti-narrative, truth about history attacked, altered, reformatted. Why? System of information control, narrative population control, events then, events today, reconcile Q. So you guys can put all this together. I don't need to do that for you, but I think that what Q is pointing to is just the difference between the way that they're rewriting history now. And if you guys want to see the difference, read this and then read this, right? Because it's going to show you where we're at today. And yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at it is you have to know your history to avoid repeating it. History usually doesn't identically repeat, but it does rhyme. And this is where we're at now today. So that's pretty much where we're going to leave it. You know, I was going to mention a few other stories. You guys have probably seen that disgusting video, or the clips, I guess. I haven't watched any of them. I've tried not to see any of them, really. But this Cuties movie that came out, I would suggest canceling your Netflix. I went to cancel my Netflix today, and I realized I canceled it a long time ago, which probably because I probably canceled it back when Susan Rice. I haven't used it in that long, when I figured out that it was like Obama and them on it. But I'll tell you right now, that stuff's disgusting. They're normalizing pedophilia and the sexualization of children because of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and everything that's being uncovered, because they're going to try to say, hey, you know, it's all good, you know, and it's not. It's satanic evil, and we have to call it out for what it is. And I was going to cover that story, but I didn't even want to give it any more light than it deserves, other than to say it's evil, and I would get rid of Netflix if you have it, and I wouldn't support that. And I would actually write to them and call them out, and write to your state politicians and stuff. I think somebody needs to be investigated for putting this stuff out, because it's disturbing what they do, especially with kids these days. It's terrible. But yeah, that's pretty much it. A few more things before we go. Watch these videos, share them. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think. I'm on Twitter at JustInformYou and informed_news. Also, I have the website Just Informed News up. And like I said, I've revamped the website, made it a little more better, functional. And, you know, I hope you guys check it out. And I'm going to try to keep working on it, get more content up here, even hopefully start writing some articles and kind of sharing stuff over there. So go check that out. It's got links to everything. It's got a bunch of resources. So check out justinformednews.com. I'm also on BITCHUTE.com/JustInformedTalk is the backup channel. And I'm on Parlor at JustInformedTalk. Also, if you guys want to check out, meet me and a bunch of other Patriots, MAGA supporting Patriots, come to the American Priority Conference. You can sign up now. Use the link in the description. Use the coupon code JustInformedNews to get $45 off your ticket. And the hotel rooms are selling out fast. It's at Trump National in Doral in Miami. It's a great time. It's coming up here in less than a month. So the tickets are going to be, you know, going quick. So go get your ticket today and schedule it. Make your plans. And I'll see you guys down in Miami. Also, if you want to help create content on this channel and keep it funded, you can come here to patreon.com/justinformedtalk. It's a monthly donation crowdfunding website. Your support has kept this channel alive and growing, and I'm so thankful to you guys and for all your support. Without you guys, I couldn't do it. Also, check out my GoFundMe page if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything will be in the description below. Now, before we go, we do a segment called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to share a verse, like I said, out of James, the book of James, and this is chapter 4, verse 13 through 17. And I share these words with you because of this. It talks about our will and his will, meaning God's will. And this is how I try to live my life. And I think I've shared this before, but it's such a powerful message, and it's so appropriate to people who are not sure or having doubts or just having struggling and having a tough time. Let me tell you how I think we should all look at our lives in how we, you know, work going forward, right? And how our will should be. It says, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will travel to such and such a city and spend a year there and do business and make a profit. You don't even know what tomorrow will bring, what your life will be. For you are a bit of smoke that appears for a little while then vanishes. Instead, you should say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. But as it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. So, for the person who knows to do good and doesn't do it, it is a sin." And that's the simplest way to put it, guys. We can't boast and say we know what's going to happen tomorrow. We can't pretend that we know what God's will is for us. All we know is that when we do what we do and we live righteously and we put the gospel first and we put Christ first and we spread the word out as far as we can. We pray to God every day. We try to live the best lives we can. We may falter, but we trust that if we just keep working hard, that God will help us and help us find our way. That we say, if God wills it, then we will succeed. If God wills it, then we will overcome it. But if it is God's will that we have to stumble or falter or face affliction, that's a part of his plan that's going to make us stronger. And our reward is this: eternal salvation in heaven, which I always remind myself, it says in the Bible, what's of this world is temporary, what's not of this world is eternal. And that's what we need to focus on every day in every way and put God first. And that's how we overcome this, because no matter how much evil exists around us, as we covered all throughout this episode, we will look to God and we will ask for his will to be done on us, through us. And that's my message to you. Share that with your family, your friends, your loved ones. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. Remember, hit that subscribe button, hit it, smash it, bop it, twist it, headbutt it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.